everybody, and welcome again to the Witty Writers Show. And I am super excited because today I have with me Gramps Jeffrey. Hello, darling.
Hey, Grant, thank you so much for inviting me.
I have been so excited. Do you know what? I absolutely love children's books, especially ones that are super engaging and that have amazing graphics and stuff. And I absolutely love the cover of your book, Gramps. Can we see it?
Sure, right here.
I've been so excited. Look at that. I love it. Do you know what? It brings back such lovely memories. Honestly, it really, really does. It's beautiful. It really, really is. Now, Gramps, I got to say, you've had quite a journey over the years, because this isn't your first book that you've published, is it? But it's the first children's book that you've published.
Yeah, it's probably the reason that I wrote this book is when this past year, living in this past year, during the pandemic, the COVID-19 and so forth, in isolation, kind of, except for being with my family, gave me a special time to watch and interact with all the grandkids. I got to tell you, what a trip that was. I've got 6 grandkids, and all kids, they're all completely different personalities. The one thing that they do have in common is their sense of curiosity and how excited they get when they do accomplish something. Watching them grow year to year and how they interact with each other is really the basis for this book. What goes through a toddler's mind that the parents are so desperate to understand. When does a toddler understand the difference between me and us? And this book explores how a family finds this whole thing out together. As a baby boomer myself, trying to understand how the world has evolved since I was 3 years old, is also part of this whole story. My parents, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have remotes, cable TVs. In fact, I can still remember my dad saying, you're my clicker. You're the remote. You go change the channel. So I was his clicker. That's what I was. My parents' definition of discipline is quite different than my kids. Parents of the day. Is today a better place for children to grow up? Than when we grew up in the 50s and 60s. I'll let the readers answer that question as you weigh in how you were treated growing up versus how we are treating our kids today. So I really wrote this book for the grandkids. To me, their reaction has just been invaluable. As you watch them understand Jordan, who's the star of the book, discover the right versus the wrong. You can see that the older kids have already gone through this. And they understand this dilemma that Jordan's going through. And the younger kids, they just don't quite understand yet the concept of sharing. And this is what the book's about, is sharing. So this whole experience for me was priceless.
Yeah. Do you know what? You hit the nail right on the head there, because obviously from our generation, times have changed so much. I mean, crazily so. I mean, I still, I'm going to really show my age now. I still remember our last black and white TV. And we literally had 3 channels. And you're right, we were the remote controls. Oh, darling, go and change the channel for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
what's also really changed.
Yeah. What's also changed is discipline. I don't know if the fact I was kind of scared of my dad. He'd come home and it was his way or the highway, and he had this belt, and my brother Larry and I, he would chase us around the kitchen table, dining room table, if we weren't doing what he wanted to do. He had this paddle that he had from his fraternity, and he had this paddle, and it was also there. So one late fall day, my brother and I, when the parents weren't home, we took the paddle out of his room and we buried it in the leaves out back. And then it snowed the next day. And that spring, the paddle was gone. It was a miracle. It was like my first miracle. that this paddle was gone. But
Oh,
that's discipline. I mean, I remember in high school, our gym teacher had a paddle. You got it online, there you go. Well, my kids don't do that kind of stuff. They do timeout, and the kid knows when they're going to go to timeout, they're in trouble. So I
yeah.
do like timeout a lot better than paddling.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because I'm the same as you. Oh my gosh. I mean, I feared getting into trouble when I was a kid because I knew what I was going to get. And 9 times out of 10, sorry, I've got allergies. 9 times out of 10, it would stop me doing whatever I was thinking of because I knew what would happen if I got caught. It was a good deterrent, you know what I mean? And I got caned once at school, which was not a pleasant experience. And I went out of my way to make sure that never happened again. But it is a different type of, society now is so different from when we were children. And as parents and as grandparents like yourself, it's a learning process, isn't it? You're literally going through a learning curve because today's children are growing up and being educated at home so differently. And I think you creating this amazing book is just another tool in a fun way where you can, shorten that divide between our generation and our children's and grandchildren. So what actually sparked the inspiration to write your book?
Well, I had all these little kids running around because what happened during COVID, my daughter in Texas came to live with us for a little while. And so I had a couple of those kids and a couple here in Scottsdale, Arizona living with us. And I had a chance to really see how they interact. And, now that you're grandparents, you look at it a little differently when you're the parents. You kind of stand back and see. And you could see how they shared and how they were possessive. And I said to myself, this can't just be my family. This has got to be every family in the U.S. is going through the same thing at the same time. So I had that opportunity to watch him and observe him and then put it down on paper.
I think that's just lovely. I really, really do. We've got people joining in and jumping on. So please say hello to Gramps and myself. Lisa's just joined us. She says, hello. Hello, my darling. And if any of you have got any funny stories you want to share about, your children and the lessons you've learnt as, a grandparent or a parent, let us know, because I'm sure Gramps and I would love to hear from you. I think it's amazing that your book includes such a strong message about sharing and right from wrong. I mean, you've got 4 kids. I've got 4 kids. Obviously, mine are all grown up as well. But oh my gosh, the things that they did when they were younger. I mean, not just sharing toys and stuff, but sharing me. Because you're right, your kids have to learn, your kids and your grandkids have to learn. I mean, I remember when I brought home my Harry, he was baby number 3. And the first thing my daughter did was she tried to shove him off my knee as if say, no, my mum. But it's a constant learning curve, isn't it, for children and parents. And you're always learning. I think even as I'm 50 this month, in just over a week, and I'm still learning about being a mum, especially as now my kids are going into careers and stuff like that. I can't wait till I have my grandbabies and I can share your book with them, because it's just, oh my gosh, it's such a fabulous book. We've got loads more people jumping on, so I'm just going to quickly pop them up so they can say hello to you, Gramps. We've got James. He says, sorry I'm late. There was a long line at the supermarket. That's fine, James. We totally get it. We totally get it. We've got Lynn from the UK, who's my mum, by the way, Gramps. She's amazing. And we've also got Heather. She says, hi, Beth and Mark from Gemma and I. And I'm sure Gemma will be very intrigued with your book, because that's it's perfect for her. It really is. She loves listening to stories and reading herself. And we've also got Josephine from the UK. Hello, darling. So thank you for joining us. If you have just popped in late, that's fine. I'm gonna ask Gramps to hold up his book again, it's just, I love the cover. I really, really do. Look, I don't want to turn 3. It is so gorgeous. Look at that. I absolutely love it. I really do. Do you know what? I think bath time was always a fun time for me and the kids, because and I'm sure you've helped bath your grandbabies as well, your grandchildren, because once they're in the water and it's the end of the day, they just all relax, and they just want to talk, don't they? They just want to chat about all sorts.
Well, what's interesting about kids today, and it's happened with at least all the boys that I've got, is they love dinosaurs. And I can't tell you why they love dinosaurs, but every one of them can name, a dozen different, big, long name dinosaurs. They're only 2, 3, and 4, but they can say these big names. I know small, medium, and large dinosaurs. They give me the names. They tell me if they're meat eaters or what kind of plants they eat and how they fight and all that. And then you talk about the bath. They all love sea creatures. I don't know what it is with these little kids. And again, the same thing. They tell me about squids and sharks and all the different kinds of, the whales and where they live and all. I don't know that kind of stuff. So it really is interesting that every one of these kids are into dinosaurs and into sea creatures. And obviously they're into trucks. And so they have this common bond that they can share. And I think that helps them talk to each other because they all have these same interests that they go after. So that's always fun, and that's all part of the book too.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right. You really, really are. I mean, I've got 2 boys and 2 girls, and when they were young, the boys were mad on dinosaurs. Mad on dinosaurs. We had them, excuse me, we had them all over the place. Unfortunately, a lot of the dinosaurs are like Lego. You stand on one of them and you know about it. But you're absolutely right, because a lot of their friends were, a lot of their peers were into the same sort of things as dinosaurs and, animals and sea creatures and stuff like that. Trying to get them to share and play nicely with their friends is a whole different thing.
Well, what's interesting about dinosaurs is, again, thinking about COVID, and I have got 2 kids in Orlando, 2 in Austin, and 2 here in Scottsdale. So we really didn't get the chance to be with them all the time. We were all apart. But the one thing that they knew we all loved was dinosaurs. So we decided to play a game. We decided that every night we would take the dinosaurs, we had half a dozen of them, and we'd stick them doing something different. So, for instance, we had the dinosaurs in the refrigerator eating blueberries. We had the dinosaurs helping their grandmother wash the dishes, and they had soap on their noses. We had them playing the piano. We had them climbing steps. And so we had, and all of a sudden, we started to get calls from the kids every night. They would call my wife's iPhone, but he would say, "Where's Gramps? Where's Gramps? We want to talk about dinosaurs." So she'd turn them over to me, and I take them over to the dinosaurs. And so it really, we have 50 different places throughout the house and outside that we had put the dinosaurs every single night, and it really helped the bonding of me with the kids because they associated Gramps with dinosaurs, and they wanted to know, what are they doing tonight? Where are they gone tonight? And then they would tell me what they did last night. So it was a great way to communicate with little kids. Well, when you're in your 60s and they're in their 2s and 3s and 4s, we have a common interest. So I would highly recommend to anyone listening that if you want to get into the heads of little kids, get into dinosaurs.
Do you know, that is fantastic. It's like Elf on the Shelf, but dinosaur version.
Exactly. And that's kind of where it came from. Exactly.
I love it. For those of you who are watching, if you've done anything like that with your little ones, let us know, because I think this is absolutely fantastic. Your book has such a lovely message, though, as I said, about sharing and everything else, and learning what's right from wrong. And I think that's so invaluable, especially when your children are young, because it's difficult. It really, really is difficult when you're trying to educate your children at such a young age. I mean, one of mine was an absolute horror. We didn't have terrible twos. We had like terrible 10 years. It was a tough time. I mean, now, amazing child, or adult, should I say. But, you know, as you said, all children are so different. They have such individual personalities. And you're getting to know them as they're developing and growing up, don't you? It's just one massive learning curve when you become a parent or grandparent, because you're learning what traits each child has.
Well, you know, the idea of the book is, when do you learn how to share? Is it 3 years old? Is it 13 years old? Is it 20 years old? I mean, some people I know, they're 63 and they still don't know how to share. You know, so that's the message that we're trying to get across is, you know, how do you share, and when do you learn how to do it, and when do you become cognizant of it? And so that was kind of fun about you're right, the whole thing is how to learn to share.
Yeah. So I must admit, from personal experience, and I don't know how you did it when you was bringing up your 4 children, but when I think, because I've been thinking about this a lot after we were introduced, and I read your book, I was thinking back about when I first started teaching my children how to share, because it really got my brain going. It really did. And I think it was when they started trying real food, because I would cook a meal and I would let them have some of mine to taste it. So they were sharing my meal, you know, just having a little taste of this, having a little taste of that. So I was teaching them how to share without even realizing it.
Talking about food, it's something that happened to us last weekend. We had the 2 grandkids here in town stay the weekend with us, and we had a great time. You know, we went swimming, we played video games, we played with the balls, we went to the museum, all the things grandparents do with kids. And then my wife wanted to have my 6-year-old Levi eat something different he's never eaten before. And he says, no, I don't want to eat it. And she was on him like crazy. You better eat this, or you can't do this, you can't do that, and so forth. So then when they went home to see their mom, you know, my granddaughter said, oh, we had a great time. We went swimming and all that. The only thing Levi remembered from that wonderful weekend, he says, Grandma made me eat something I didn't want to eat. That's what she made me do. That's all he remembered from this unbelievable weekend we had. So it just kind of reinforces that we as grandparents and parents, you know, what we say and what we do, they hear, they understand. You know, if you say a cuss word in the morning, I guarantee you're going to hear it that night. So we have to be very careful on what we do around these kids, because they absorb it, they remember it. I mean, you can probably think of things that you remember when you were 3 or 4 years old. You know, some are good, some are bad. Many times it's just the bad stuff you remember. So that's one of we talked about food. That's one of the food things that just happened to me this weekend.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right. You're spot on with that completely. And I've got to tell you, when I was young, one of my earliest memories was going to the zoo. And I think, obviously my parents were there, and I think maybe my grandparents were there as well. I can't remember now, but I was super young. I remember being in my pushchair, you know, the really old-fashioned ones that was like big metal frame and stuff. The one memory that has stuck in my brain since then was witnessing this little girl. She was dressed in this big, poofy, old-fashioned type style dress, obviously, you know, having a special day out. And she was verbally abusing a hippo while her parents watched. And I obviously, I was too young to understand what she was saying. But as a young child, I could hear the aggressiveness in her tone. She was frustrated, angry, shouting at this hippo while her parents watched. And the adults that I was with, you know, my parents and family, I could hear them gasping in horror at what this girl was coming out with. And then this hippo looked at her. I'll never forget it. This hippo literally looked at her, made eye contact, turned around, and then let rip with its back end. It was everywhere. Oh my gosh. And obviously I was too young to really truly understand what was happening at the time. But her parents were like horrified. Oh my God. Everybody else was laughing and cheering. And I thought, well, that's a weird reaction.
Yeah, I mean, it just talks about how we can really influence the kids, what happens to us, and the memories. What a heck of a memory they have. When you think about, it's so important to read to your children. I mean, whether it's my book or other books, I have 100 books, so there's there's all kinds of books you should read to your children. But why should you do that? Well, one reason, it's the bonding. It's a real nice way for you to spend quiet time with them. That you're not yelling at each other, or teaching each other. You're together, you're enjoying something. It helps the kid feel secure too. Especially as it's at nighttime. The other thing that reading the kids does is it helps support their listening skills. Now think about it. We as adults, if you take a look at your lifetime, the most important thing that we've probably done is listen to others.
Yes.
If you can start that at a young age, and so reading a book to them requires them to listen. So that's a good skill for them to have. It's the cognitive and language development. It helps them learn words. The bigger words. It may help them with the bigger words that they don't understand. And then they can ask you, what about those words? But it just helps them expand the variety and number of words that they can do. And the one thing that it helps with more than ever, and we need help with it too, is attention span. It helps you sit down with the book, and it gives them a chance to do that. When I was in Orlando with my 1-year-old, just about 3 weeks ago, he loved to turn pages. That's all he did. He loved to spend that time turning those pages. And that's great, but that helps with the attention span and the learning and all that. So we as the grandparents and parents need to make sure that every night and even during the day that we take the time to read to these kids, because those are the memories we want them to have. We don't want the hippopotamus memory for them to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Everybody who's watching, if you've got any questions for Gramps or funny stories about reading to your children, do let us know, because we'd love to hear from you. I have to say, you are 100% right, because my children absolutely loved being read to. They really, really did. And I think having that interaction with them after you've read a story, asking them what they thought about it, who was their favorite character, what part of the book was their favorite bit, all of that makes a massive difference, isn't it? Because as you said, you're sharing that quality time, that, becoming used to listening and paying attention, but also asking for their feedback, I think, is super important as well, because children really do want to feel like they're being listened to, and voice it. They're being heard. Their opinions are being valued.
Yeah, I mean, before you actually sit down and read them the book, you want to say to them, what do you think is going to happen in this book? Here's the title. My title is Don't Want to Turn 3. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, get their feeling for that. And during the reading the books, who are the characters? Who are the people here? You got to ask them. Just the interaction back and forth. Where is it set? Where is it being set? Is it a house? Is it the zoo? And part of my book is the zoo, so that kind of goes to it. Then as you're going along, does anything sound familiar? Can you relate to any of this? Is any of this happening in your life too? And then, like you said, at the end, what was your favorite part of the book? Why was it your favorite part? So the interaction is really, reading a book is one thing, but working and interacting with it really helps enhance the experience for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you actually started off, I mean, as I said, this isn't your first book. This is your third, I believe. So you wrote The Secrets of Retailing and How to Beat Walmart.
I've got that right here. Let me show you that too.
That would be awesome. Look at that. They are fantastic books. They really, really are. So, I mean, what a change. You've gone from writing, for adults to then writing a children's book. How was that an adjustment for you as an author?
Now, I mean, the reason I wrote The Secret to Retailing, How to Beat Walmart, is I was an entrepreneur who started a business and went public. It became the premier business-to-business site on the internet. We sold case quantity small businesses all around the world, shipped into all 50 states, around 44 countries. Our customer base were the moms and the pops who were surviving and thriving as the chains. So we carry a little over 300,000 products. If you walked into a Macy's or a Target or a Walmart, we carry all those kinds of products. So our customers were the small retailers and stores on Main Street that were competing against the big guys. You know, drugstores, discount stores, toy stores, apparel stores. And so I wrote that book because our customers were calling us saying, what do I do? What do I need to do? So it's a 15 chapters of how do you open a store, how do you hire people, how do you market, and how do you go after the business. So it's a guide just for small guys to go up against big guys. So that was definitely in the business world. And as I grew older and I had grandkids, I said, no, I want to do something that I think would be good for them, and that's how I got into writing about the kids' business.
That's just lovely, and I'm sure your business experience has obviously helped you as an author as well, because the book business is a business like any other business. It's all about sales and marketing and promoting yourself and everything else. But what did your family think about you writing a children's book? And what did your grandchildren think of it?
Now, just so you know, to give away the ending of the book, that's easy to do, is where the kids give they gave everything to the homeless downtown. So it's giving to the nonprofit. And it happened that, over time, 50% of our business at Dollar Days became nonprofits, schools and churches who were helping to stretch their dollars because everything was wholesale and closeout prices, so they could help serve more people. So I was very involved in understanding the whole nonprofit world. Arianna Huffington read my book and asked me to start writing articles for the Huffington Post. So I've got about 100 different articles up on the Huffington Post about the homeless and helping others and education and animals and all the things that are nonprofit related. So that was always in the back of my mind, and that kind of influenced what the kids actually did. Although my granddaughter, it was her idea to give everything to the homeless shelter. So she's the one that came up with this idea. So this book is really based on fact. This is something that happened in the family, and that was her idea. So it kind of pulled it all together. So how do my grandkids think about this? Well, again, what's fun is, like when Olivia, who's the oldest, reads it to the younger ones, they say, that's me. That's what I did. That's you. So it's fun to just watch them, and realize that they are part of the book and they're part of the story. And again, we talked about what do you remember when you're younger, when you get older. Hopefully, this will be one of the good memories that they have.
I mean, what a legacy. I mean, I think that's fantastic. I can just imagine him going to school and saying, guess what? My Gramps wrote a book and it's brilliant. Because that's what children are like, aren't they? They love to share their news and everything else. And the fact that you're able to, produce such a beautiful book and help nonprofits as well is just absolutely fantastic. It really, really is. I think it's wonderful. I really, really do. So what are your plans now? I mean, you obviously, you've wrote a beautiful book. The reviews I've read are fantastic, absolutely wonderful. So are you likely to, in the future, write some more and make it a series?
Well, what my grandkids are saying, we should do one. I don't want to turn 4. I don't want to turn 5. I don't want to turn 6. So
I love that.
That's the series we would do.
Do you know what? I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure it won't be long. And they're going to be in the majority of schools around the country. I'm sure of it, because you've got such a strong message in there. Are you able to hold it up again and open it so we can have a look at some of the illustrations and stuff inside?
All right. So this is the cover, obviously. Let me find the one with the zoo. You talked about the zoo. The kids went to a zoo too. So let me find out while we're talking.
I used to love going to the zoo when I was a child. I really did.
Oh yeah, it was great. You know, because the zoo animals again, they're kind of like here they are at the zoo. Oops.
That is gorgeous. I love the illustrations. They are so beautifully done.
Yeah, and you know, Jordan steals everybody's toys and all his kinds of stuff. Um, and then his cousin discovers that he stole all their toys, so you can see that. Oh, it's so yeah. There's a lot of fun things in here, and you know,
Oh, I love it.
that's Jordan with all his stolen toys. You know, so you
So
know,
I've
I particularly I can't draw a straight line, so I didn't illustrate this. I had to find someone who kind of understood illustrations. I sent her all. These are all based on real pictures. So this was actually uh, Levi and Jordan actually in the tub.
oh,
What was so funny is my son-in-law, when the book came out, he says, "That's my tub." He said, yeah. And I said, "Yeah, it is exactly." So all the pictures are based on pictures, the actual pictures of the kids.
I think that's lovely. Do you know what? I think it's lovely being able to incorporate your grandchildren's memories into your books. And I really do. I think that's fantastic. And the fact that you think you might do more books later on about the different stages, 3, 4, and 5, and so on and so on. You've got unlimited material really with your grandchildren, because the funny things that they say and do, and you can just incorporate so much material. And a funny story, because obviously this, your characters stealing toys. My son, my eldest, actually did that, and it was so embarrassing. So we had a family day with cousins, and family. And at the time, I don't know how big they were here in the US, but my eldest was mad on Teletubbies. It was, the Teletubbies. Everybody will have to let me know whether it was big here or not. But so he was mad on these Teletubby characters. Well, after this day out, we got home, and I was just starting to run the bath and getting ready for bed. And my sister-in-law rang me, and she says, "Would your boy happen to have my son's Teletubbies?" And I'm thinking, no, I haven't seen them anywhere. They weren't in the car. He didn't have them in his hands. Don't know. Sorry, I don't know, Jack. Don't know where they are. So I then start getting him undressed, ready for the bath. I literally pick him up and I think, oh, there's something in his dungarees. He'd literally, bearing in mind he was about 3 at the time, so he was really, really young. He had stuffed these Teletubbies all down his dungarees. I don't know how I didn't notice when I was putting him in the car. I then had to bring back my sister-in-law and say, "I'm really sorry, but yes, he did have them."
And he was 3, right?
He was 3.
Yes.
He was really young. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's stealing toys from the bath, and
There
he's
we go. Stuffing them in his face.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I am sure this happens to every family. If it happened to your family, it happens to my family. It's got to be happening to millions of families all around.
Oh my gosh. See, this is why I know your book's so popular, because the storyline is about real events that do happen to so many of us parents, doesn't it? We can all relate, to either our children or our grandchildren doing things like that. And it's those moments that you do look back on very fondly because they're so funny.
Oh, I was in Orlando a couple weeks ago with a couple of the kids. I thought I was reliving the book again. They were stealing each other's trucks. What's so funny is I've got my granddaughter's 2.5, and her brother is 4, and he loves trucks. And the last time we talked to them on the phone, she was stealing his trucks and his cars, which is great. Let her. Everybody should be playing with trucks and cars. Doesn't matter
I
what
agree.
you are. Yeah. So it's every family. I just happen to document mine.
Do you know, I think it's absolutely lovely. And you know, your grown-up children must think it's wonderful that they can share something that you've created with their children and be able to say, oh, shall we read Gramps his book today? I think that's beautiful. I mean, what a you know, they're going to grow up with such lovely memories, and you're going to have such a lovely legacy, you know, for the children. Have any of your grandchildren been aspired to have a go at writing themselves?
I think they're too young yet, but that's true. But you're talking about the parents, and you know, we as grandparents gotta be kind of careful how we handle the grandkids. We have to make sure that we are supporting the parents, whether we agree with them or not. You know, this is what they do, and this is how they do it. You know, and the whole discipline and so forth. You know, we have to support that. We can't be doing something different than what they do. You know, and so, you know, like I've got one granddaughter that doesn't let her kids watch TV while they're having breakfast. Okay, so, but you know, as a grandfather, I have a problem with that because I like watching cartoons while I have breakfast. So that may be something that, you know, that we do a little bit different that she may not like. But you know, we've got to support the grandkids. And our whatever our kids are, the message they're doing, we just got to say the same thing. Because it's amazing. And again, I had the kids a couple weekends ago, and we were running all over the place. And so, I mean, I couldn't wait until they took their nap so I could take a nap. Yeah, they'd wore me out. You know, there's a reason why younger kids are the ones that have kids. Yeah, as grandparents, it's very difficult when you're to just keep up with them. So, you know, I always enjoy nap time when it comes around.
Do you know what? I absolutely agree with you. It's amazing how quick these little ones can move with those little legs.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet when you're having to stay for a little while, you feel like you need a holiday after they've gone.
Yeah, love to have them. Glad to get them back.
Yeah. It's funny because we had a sign up in our house for the longest time, and it said, if mum says no, call 0800 grandma. And I think all my children tried that number to see if it worked. Thank goodness it didn't. So what's your plans for the rest of the year? I mean, we're already in September now. Obviously, you know, you're heavily promoting your new children's book. What is the plan for the rest of the year then?
Well, my goal is to try to get the word out to as many places as I can about this book because it's so fun. It's just a fun book. You know, it's not a controversial book. It's not political. You know, it's for kids. It's fun, and all of us can use it. So that's my goal, is to get the word out as much as I can over the next few months.
Now, obviously, the pandemic has been absolutely awful for so many people. However, it has given you the perfect opportunity to spend time with your grandchildren, you know, learn their characteristics, write your book and publish your book. But obviously, once now everything's opening up a little bit, do you think you'll be able to go into the local libraries and do book reads and everything else for the smaller children?
Oh, I'd love to do that. I would love to go in all the libraries and all the bookstores and read to kids. Yeah, that's what this message is all about. Yeah, you get our age, you can give back. You know, when they're their age, they kind of take. With our age, we should be giving back wherever we can.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Gramps, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you today. It really, really has. I love your book. I love the message it gives. And I just want to say to everybody, if you've got a birthday coming up for a small child, or if even you want to get ahead of the game for Halloween and for Christmas, this is definitely a fantastic book for you to buy because it's just so beautifully written. The illustrations are fantastic and it's a fabulous book. Now, I have attached all of Gramps's links to the interview, so you can actually go with one click to go and purchase it or one click to go and follow. So it's all available there for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and share this fantastic interview, because we do get people trying to sneak on while they're supposed to be working, and we do get people coming on and watching after they finish work. So don't forget to share Gramps' video. But if you've got any questions, if you haven't been able to join us live, please put them in the comments, and then Gramps can answer those questions when he gets a chance. So Gramps, if you wouldn't mind just keeping a little tab of the comments for the next few days, just in case anybody does want to ask you any more questions, that would be wonderful. As I said, we do get a lot of people joining or watching after they finish work, etc. Oh, Lisa says your book is lovely. She absolutely loves it. Look, that is so nice. And James says, sorry, I'm so quiet. The stories are too great. Oh, he's enjoyed all those happy memories. Look, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Well, Gramps, thank you so much for being such a fabulous guest. You are absolutely amazing. And for those who are watching, don't worry, we will be uploading this fantastic interview onto our podcast as well. So if you haven't been able to catch it live, or you'd like to listen to it while you're relaxing, it will be on the Witty Writers Show podcast too. And we have streamed live on YouTube as well. So I'm getting there with the streaming everywhere. It's getting there one platform at a time. But Gramps, thank you so much, darling, for joining me today. And I do hope that you'll come on again with your next release. I'm so excited for you. And I can't wait to see videos of you reading in libraries and in bookstores. I think that's going to be so wonderful. I really, really do. But would you come back on the show again and join us again?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Love to.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's lovely. Well, thank you, my darling, for joining us. And thank you, everybody who's joined in and watched and asked questions and stuff today. We love to see you and have you on the show. And don't forget to join me for the next Witty Writers Show. So bye for now, everybody. Bye.